Gekisai Daiichi shows simple and easy to learn moves, which when learned to practice, show effective self-defense applications. These applications are known as bunkai. Kata creates coordination of body and mind, in addition to strength and suppleness. Katas teach the left and right hand sides of the body to work equally well. If techniques are to become natural and responsive, they must be practiced over and over again. At least 1,000 repetitions are required to reach this level. The kata teaches this perfectly.
The style that you teach now is very much based on Goju-ryu. How did you get into that style?
As I said, I started in Wado, and then I was trained with a guy who I don't want to talk much about, you know. And then I trained with a few more people. And eventually, I had a club in Liverpool. I was a black belt then, and I had another guy with me, a mate who managed a black belt. And a guy called Gary Spires started training with us in Liverpool. And we eventually opened some clubs together. And Gary had done Goju in Japan. And this is going back a long time, I don't know, early 70s, before anybody had done Goju. And I developed from there. I wanted to learn the Okinawan Goju-ryu. And I moved in and started training with a guy called Teru Chinnen. And it was like a visitor to this country, and I went to South Africa with him.
The fighting style has evolved.
And I brought him to Wigan in the early 70s again.
Nigoash typifies
but he was an
the Jew
Okinawan,
or
and he
softer
was a
side
real
of Goju,
full-blown
whereas
karate
Sanshin
teacher.
stance
You know,
demonstrates the go
his
or
friend
harder
was
approach.
Mario Nagano, who's doing great things in Goju now. And I was switched on by the Goju. But it's fair to say, in everything, I changed it. I became very impressed. I trained in a few years after with a guy called Sken, who became popular in the Thai boxing, and that changed my attitude towards a lot of things. So I've picked up, and the boxing stayed with me. The skipping and the boxing stayed with me even before I did the karate. So the things have all swirled and developed. But I liked the style of Goju because I think it had a great deal to offer in its health, the character, and the self-defense, which is what I was into more than the sport karate, which is still am.
What do you...
Cipher kata again has its origins in China. It introduces the softer moves of goju-ryu to the student, as opposed to the linear movements of the gekisai katas.
And I've got to admit that, so I've never excluded it from my system. I love sparring. I think fighting is in every young man who likes to fight. When I was a kid, I can remember, like, you know, the sparring was a black belt thing. It was for people to exchange karate techniques. Like, you had to do shedfuls of basics. And you couldn't enter a tournament if you're knowledgeable. You had to be pretty tasty. What's happening now is the basics have gone to the wall, and the preparation. And it's just like, let's have a go. You know, you see a Bruce Lee movie, you do a kick off a Bruce Lee movie, you go and you smack your mate on the head with it, you know. Put a pair of boxing gloves on and you think you're a kickboxer. I think really the sparring, if it's done properly, is excellent. It is an exchange of techniques. But what we must never ever forget is that you can never land the karate. You can't, you see, the biggest sadness is when people say about full contact. Now, the predominant strike in goju-ryu is an eye strike, you know, attacking the eyes. You can't do it. So automatically, you can't strike, or a gun, or 2-on-1, or 5-on-1, or whatever, you know.
As the years have passed, Mr. Christian's understanding of the martial arts has led him to search for a more fluent or softer style of karate, as introduced in Cipher kata. This demonstrates the Ju principle of goju. Here is one exercise of many teaching Teisabaki. Body evasion is a must for weapon defense, which you cannot tense against the basic forms of kabudo, the study of ancient weapons. One form is utilizing the sai, an old weapon used for defense against a Japanese longsword, known as the katana. The second form demonstrates iaido, the art of drawing the Japanese sword. In later tapes, more advanced forms and other weapon systems will be shown. Self-defense is one of the most widely publicized in karate and is becoming increasingly important in a world where violence is on the increase, and in particular violence against women. Funakoshi Gichin, the founder of modern karate-do, expressed a view that in karate there is no first attack, This is a very important precept, that self-defense is not to attack, but to stop an attack. Self-defense is applying karate to save yourself or your family's lives. By training, you develop a sixth sense for danger and so avoid it. This can be carried on in other areas, such as self-defense whilst driving a car and self-defense against illness. Self-defense techniques are never to be used to cause trouble, only as a last resort. Mr. Christian's thought on self-defense is that its highest level is not to be there.
Help, Sensei. Right? Now the applications. 1, sorry. 2. Finish. It's my hip goes up. Going with his hand from the knee. There, now he's in trouble. Say something again. And bring your hands on the ear. And then that. Now, second applications. Punch. Walk. Fingers under. And then listen. Raise your elbows. Like this. I mean, international SOS. Always in different language. Stop, help. Spanish, what? ¿Qué pasa? What? They don't understand. So this. Designed for Washington Hospital. This is my first lesson as a kid. Oh, where is it? Okay, let me try this. Okay? And open. There you go.
Right? César. H, D, H, D, H, D, H, 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 D, Sun, H, H, E, Sun, C, H, 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 okay, there we go. If we all get up, off carumfa. And the other side. Don't let me go ahead. Okay. He's going to be an Enter the Dragon, though, isn't he? Come César. Come César. He gets carried away with knowledge. Okay, I'm there, right. It's a self-defense routine. This side to attack, this side to attack. Boot punching, go! And the other side, boot punching. Now, signalise away. Just for in this name of friendship, what we'll do, right? We'll do a minute of each partner, okay? So take your partner, start and go, just so you know. Let's go! Stop before they kill you. Now there's only the bit about being invisible next. I'm going to sit down with you though. In a way it's a form of formality that perhaps is going to get more difficult, because if we get lads come from down south, it's not a matter of formality, is it? Because when I went down there was 4 lads for 3rd dan and we failed 1 and 3 passed. You have to see the stuff because you don't know who they are. You have to do the katas, and I know you lads, I know you very, very well. The danger that I see, and I've said to all of you, familiarity breeds contempt. And I don't want to spoil you. Those lads down south are really going to do something. That lad O'Hara's going to do something with his karate. He's got his 3rd dan, he's got open clubs everywhere. He's going to do something with it. And down here, you know, in a way, I don't want us to lapse into a friendship thing. The greatest thing we have between us is karate, you know. It's like, it goes deeper than a lot of things. The people that you meet, you know, the people you meet in the pub, that girlfriend Stella that you meet there every night. She'll just cost you a lot of money. You know? She'll never really do yeah. I'm talking about that one. The friends you make in the martial arts, they go on and on and on. I think as I get older, we should have it right. I'm explaining to you to tell you the way it is. The way it is. 3rd dans, what are they? Well, looking at the stuff, you're all mature, you know, your self-defense, there's a bit of finesse, you know, that's not there in lower grades. But that's not really the main purpose. The 3rd dan is the big brother. He's there to guide and look after the younger ones so they don't cause us trouble, Tony. Your young lad comes in and he's going to do something silly, you know, give her credit, she's great. She's great. I can say to Amanda, don't sit here, Amanda, they might get taken up, and she just jumps on the floor. No problem, is there, Amanda, at all? It's very difficult following the etiquette road. It's very, very difficult. And we've got to try and do it. And you're the ones that help me. You've got to say to people, you know, don't do this. This is how you should do it. This is what you should do. This is how you should behave. You know, you should do this, you should do that.
when we do this thing in October and we book the Thistle, we expect everyone to turn up, don't we? Because it's, that's the whole point of it. If they don't want to turn up, we won't do it, So that's basically what it's about. I think in the Japanese dojos, you see it great. Econo comes over, and in the early days, they were always like his henchmen, And basically the henchmen are there to explain what's going on. The sensei's always waddling down, little smile on his face, and isn't he nice, you know what I mean? It's the other guys always saying, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's how you should do this, that's how you should do that. I had a lot of time for Chinnen, because Chinnen, as a sixth dan, or whatever he was,